Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Bremner Square Podcast. We made the 609 debut. We are live on Leeds TV's Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So make sure to get your comments in on what you thought of what was a pretty quiet week for Leeds United. Nothing much going on at Ellen Road at all. We are joined as Unison and Kieran Archer. How are we doing, guys? How are you doing, Adam?
Yeah, good. No, really good. Pretty good after that crazy week, but looking forward. It's been really good. So yeah, fantastic.
Have you had a good week yourself?
Okay.
I think it's. Oh, sorry, Kieran. Sorry.
No, sorry. I think it was for you. It went.
No, it was for Adam. Don't worry, Kieran. We'll get on to your week in a minute. I know you're dying to tell us it's fun.
But yeah, my week was good. No buzzing for Leeds, and just sort of topped it off 4 points and had to push on up. So yeah, I couldn't complain. It's been really good.
Yeah, we'll get on to Leeds in a second. Kieran, you can get into detail now about how your week has been. How are you, mate?
I mean, there's nothing much to detail. I was just jumping in because I wasn't sure. I got confused for a second who I was meant for, but yeah, the table's looking a little bit brighter, so I'm happy with that. And just the standard other than that.
I don't know whether to bring it up now, but in the fantasy competition that we were on about last week, it was a victory for myself. But I don't want to gloat, and that's all I'm going to bring on the matter. And roll on the reverse fixture later on in the fantasy Premier League season. That's what I say. That's what I say. But Adam, like we said, a quiet week for Leeds. Let's take it back to the Crystal Palace game. We all sort of unanimously agreed it was a must-win game, and we just about won the game, didn't we?
Yeah, no, just about. But sometimes the 1-0 is an amazing scoreline, and to get it in the final minute was fantastic. But I think overall we played really well throughout that entire game. I mean, I know Palace had some good chances, but I think we managed the game well, and I think in the end our quality came through, and obviously a great penalty from Raf. So yeah, no, a bit crazy, but fantastic victory.
Yeah, the penalty from Rafinha, I think it's pretty unanimous around Leeds United fans that it was a penalty. But in terms of the actual penalty itself, Kieran, when Rafinha's taking it, how much was your heart in your mouth when he does that little jittery run up? I mean, it's not exactly what you want from a Leeds fan when he's stepping up to take the penalty.
Yeah, I've never been the biggest fan of stuttered run-ups. I always think it kind of shows sort of a lack of confidence. I feel like I see more penalties missed with a stuttered run-up than just with a straight run-up. But to be fair to Rafinha, it is a moment of genius. Like, if you watch the replays closely, the slowed down replays, you kind of see the keeper shift his weight. It confuses him for a second, and that means with a penalty which wasn't actually that excellent, it's not right in the corner, it's enough that the keeper's already shifted his weight, his leg to move back towards the side that the ball's going, and without the most incredible contact on the ball from Rafinha, he's managed to find the back of the net. So yeah, full confidence in Rafinha going forward. I'm sorry for ever doubting you, mate.
Did you like his dancing in the celebration as well?
Yeah, that's it was just very Brazilian, wasn't it? It reminds you of like the likes of Ronaldinho. It reminds me of Ronaldinho every game. I know that people are going to call me ridiculous to say that, but I love having a dancing Brazilian footballer play for Leeds United. It's so exciting to watch. I thought we were getting this when we signed Adrian. It never actually worked out, but it's finally happened.
How far have we come when we were thinking Adrian was the next coming of God? And I think Adrian actually had a bigger sort of ceiling in terms of Leeds fans' expectations than Rafinha did. I must admit, I did not know too much about Rafinha. I heard Manchester United were interested in Adrian back in like 2012-13. So suddenly that means he was the greatest player to ever grace the beautiful game. But alas, well, with the likes of... Actually, no, I was going to say with the likes of De Cara and Antonucci around him, but that's disrespectful. I think they're actually okay. I think they were just in a bad team. But enough of that era. On to this one. Of course, it was a very important victory, but the performance then, Adam. What did you make of the actual performance against Crystal Palace?
It was really good from Leeds' point of view. I think we could have probably gone ahead like maybe 2-3, maybe before Rafinha's goal. But I mean, I think there was elements where Palace were starting to come into it, but I think Leeds they really kept cool and they kept calm in real key moments of the game, which was really good. But overall, I think we were the better team and we deserved those 3 points. Yeah.
I think the tone was sort of set. We sort of described it, didn't we, last week? Under the lights at Ellen Road, what can possibly go wrong? And then within the first couple of minutes, when hacks out Conor Gallagher and wins the ball and the crowd sort of really erupts, I think that really set the tone for the evening. The referee was massively trigger happy on his cards, by the way. I think there was 8 cards in that game. I think there was 8 cards at the weekend against Brentford. A ridiculous amount. And we'll come on to how Brentford didn't get any cards for time wasting anyway. But Kieran, what did you make of the performance?
Crystal Palace.
Yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, solid. Agree with a lot of what Adam says. I think the game management is a key aspect. You just dealt with their threats very well and just waited for the opportunity. Didn't get desperate. Just tried to carve out the chances. Maybe struggled a little bit in that aspect, and maybe needed a little bit of luck in the end. But it was patient at 0-0 for a lot of the game, and I do think it was the right result in the end. I don't think it was a massively emphatic performance. I don't think we were miles a better team, but I do think we were the better team, and I think we deserve the 3 points.
I think, I know what you mean. I was going to say I was there, and it was. I think with the first sort of 10 minutes were actually very, very positive, and large parts of the first half were. There were chances in the second half, and to be honest, Adam, I don't know how Christian Benteke hasn't scored a goal at Ellen Road this season, because there was that one that he arguably should have scored with his head, and he missed a sitter. I went to the game. Well, I met my mate who's a Crystal Palace fan before the game, and he came out with this stat saying, I think it was that Christian Benteke has the 3rd most Premier League Tuesday night goals. So as soon as he said that, I thought, right, he's definitely going to be on to score. And he's come on and he's missed that header, and then Melié's just jumped back onto his goal line as well to save another one of his shots. I mean, Adam, I think Christian Benteke I think it would be a bit harsh on himself that he probably should have scored.
Yeah, you should have scored. I mean, as soon as the ball came, I'm thinking, well, this is going to be... and luckily, I don't know how, but he misses. And yeah, I mean, a striker of his level, I mean, he's a very good striker. He's a poacher, so you'd have thought that would have been right up his alley. 1-0 Crystal Palace, but thank God it missed and went behind. So yeah.
And I think another player actually who came on at half time, I think, for Leeds, when Pascal Stroik went off injured, you could sort of sense around the ground people thinking, oh, this means, he's coming on here, Junior Firpo, who didn't exactly cover himself in glory at the Amex at the weekend before. But the second half performance from him, Kieran, was one of positivity. He got down the flanks well and some slightly wrong, would you argue?
Sorry, I missed the end of your question there, Johnny. Just cut out a tiny bit.
Did it cut out? So I was just saying, do you think Junior Firpo potentially proved some doubters wrong with his second half performance against Palace?
Yeah, I do think that was probably his best half in a Leeds shirt so far. Showed a bit more of what he's capable of, what we thought we were getting when we signed him from Barcelona in the summer. I think it takes more than that half to really win over Leeds fans. We need to see that level again consistently, but it's a big step in the right direction.
And I think one of the other defensive moments of ridiculousness was Stuart Dallas heading the ball against Wilfried Zaha. I mean, Adam, talk me through that, because that's some levels of bravery, really, to really, like side before self. I think it's really embodied in that, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the side before herself, but I think Dallas as a player, I think he's got so much passion for Leeds and Bielsa, and I really love how he's got that sort of never give up mentality, even when he's crawling on the floor trying to get that ball away and putting his sort of head in the danger zone. I think it really sums him up as a guy. So I mean, we're lucky to have someone like that. He's so respectful, the game and the players around him, and it must be a fantastic teammate to have. To defend with him, you must feel so calm and collected at points. So, yeah, amazing moment, and it just sums up Dallas for me.
It does. It definitely does. And I think someone else who is an amazing teammate to have on the pitch, or is looking like it at the moment, is Adam Forshaw. And I think we'll get onto him in a second, but just sort of want to say the ground that he's covering, the work that he's putting in after being out injured for 2 years is superb. And I thought he had a fantastic game against Palace, had a very good game against Brentford as well, and is showing the reasons actually as to why Andrea Radrizzani labelled him as a bit of a new signing on Twitter when he got it. It's sort of coming true, to be honest. And one of the other funny moments I've seen on social media doing the rounds on Twitter was a clip of, I can't remember who it was, someone clipped together 3 like Palace fans' reactions to Rafinha dancing, and there obviously the language can't really be repeated on this podcast, but they were just hating every single second of it. And I think that's just the beautiful thing. And we saw that from Rafinha against Brentford on Sunday, just winding up the fans. I don't know if you've seen the clip where we've equalised in the last minute, instead of running over for the fans, points to the badge. And already I've looked at that clip too many times to think that him pointing at the badge can't not mean that he's not going to stay for another 20 years at this club. I think he's committed his long-term future to the club now. But we'll move on to that Brentford game then. So Kieran, we go into this game thinking, look, let's try and get another 3 points. In isolation, is a point a good result against Brentford?
Yeah, it's an okay result. It's progress at the end of the day, not massive progress, but it did. I think it may have moved us up a space or two up the table, just because the table's that tight at the moment. And I think what it is for me is it's a decent point. And I mean, the first half performance alone is a really encouraging performance, but it's that feeling of a wasted opportunity again, because I do think we were well on top in that first half. We maybe didn't create anything too clear cut other than the goal. I think Tyler Roberts has had a decent position just outside the box. Maybe could have passed it, decides to take the shot and actually forces the save out of the goalkeeper. But other than that, not many clear-cut chances. But it was still all Leeds. It was a wave of Leeds attacks. It was just not being able to create those chances at the end of those attacks. And I went into half-time so confident because we just seemed so on top in that match. But it felt like a bit of a repetition against Spurs. But the difference is, no disrespect to Brentford, obviously, they're a good side, and we covered that at length in the last podcast. But they don't have the same threats as Spurs. You can't say Heung-min Son is the same as Brian Mbeumo or Harry Kane is the same as Sergi Canio. I mean, I've mixed up the positions there, but you get what I mean. So there was always the feeling that Spurs were dangerous and they could come back at us. It felt like a bit of a repetition of the Spurs game. We just had a mad 10-15 minutes at the start of the second half. We got caught cold, and it's annoying that one really bad period in the game has killed us a little bit.
But the one thing we didn't have against Spurs was Patrick Bamford. That's the difference maker. I knew he'd come back and do good. I knew he'd come back. Do you know what? Let's just get onto him now on the pitch, Adam. Rescues us a point, takes the shirt off. A good, I think, 50 of the photos that were taken of the celebrations yesterday, you could quite easily hang in the Louvre, and like they wouldn't be outshone by the other photos. They would outshine the other paintings in that art gallery. The one where he's just released the shirt into the air and he's sort of in a bit like a ballet position. It's phenomenal. I mean, another last gasp drama moment at Ellen Road, and this time Bamford's the one who's done it, Adam.
Yeah, no, so pleased for Bamford, to be out for as long as it was and then come back and get that crucial, last minute goal. It's phenomenal for him. It's just it sums up sort of what we do miss. He's such a poacher. He was in the right place. His positioning was excellent, and he didn't have time to think really. He just put his sort of leg in the right position, and it came off his leg and went in. And that just sums him up as a player. I think he's really great at that. But yeah, unbelievable scenes. When it went in, I mean, I was going ballistic, and I was just absolutely buzzing. And I mean, especially I did love that Rafinha clip that you mentioned earlier, Johnny. That was quite nice to see, him pointing at the Leeds badge. So but absolutely buzzing for Bamford, and it's great to have him back. Yeah.
I was going to say to the clip Adam's referring to, it's such a good clip, and from the away fans, so you don't get any of the camera movement of the fans who have scored bobbing up and down. It's just a still of Rafinha turning around, saying something that I don't know what he's saying, points at the badge, then runs over, and all you can see in the distance, just slightly out of focus, is Ilham Melier just on his back in some sort of bundle of celebrations. It's phenomenal. Kieran, what was your reaction when Bamford scored that? Talk us through the limbs in the Kieran Archer household.
Funnily enough, I was watching on my phone, waiting for my bus back from Sunderland to Leeds. So I was stood at Park Lane bus station with a friend. Leo was waiting with me. He kind of already knew the score. He was checking on his phone, and he wasn't spoiling it because obviously the stream was behind. So he just kind of watched me to see what I did, whether I'd do a big public display. It wasn't too outrageous for the scenes of Sunderland. It was just a few get-ins and a few fist pumps, so nothing too much. But yeah, it certainly made the journey home a little bit brighter.
I'd be surprised if you didn't sort of try and get yourself a free bus ticket or pay for everyone else's bus tickets, to be honest, if you're in that generous a mood. What I do want to say is your mobile data has probably taken a massive hit from streaming the football on the phone.
It just has to be done though, doesn't it? You can't miss a Leeds game. If that means that I can't play some silly phone game or something on bus journeys going forward for the next month, then I'll take it. It was worth it to see that equaliser.
Well said. Right answer. I was going to say, I think it was in the pre-season this summer. I was travelling back on a family holiday, just a long car journey, and I think we were playing. Did we play Real Betis, where Fekir sort of lashed out at Pascal Struijk? Was that Betis that we played in the summer? I think it was the game that was played in Loughborough in like the university stadium, and I think I'd like hotspotted my laptop to watch us lose to Real Betis, and then not being able to use my phone outside the house for the rest of the month was pretty depressing. I can't lie, but fantastic from yourself, Kieran. Back to the actual game. Got off a massive tangent there. The other man who made his return back to the 11 that we were all waiting for was Luke Ayling, and he actually started the game, completed a full 90 minutes. What do you make of his performance, Adam?
Yeah, I thought he did well. I think it was great to see him start. Overall, I mean, I think there was some elements you could see he was a bit rusty, but overall, I think it was a decent performance from him, and it's obviously fantastic for everyone in the squad to have him. Is very influential to the squad, and obviously the fans love him, and it just creates a nice feel-good atmosphere. And obviously, the more players we have back, the better. But yeah, good performance. Not immaculate, but I think it's positive, and the more he gets match fitness, he'll be a real threat. Yeah,
you're right. Actually, there did seem to be a bit of a feel good factor around the game that we were on. The West Brom game at the back end of last season when we were saying goodbye to Pablo and Berardi, it weirdly felt like this was a game just made for Patrick Bamford and Luke Ayling because they'd been out for so long and the results have been so poor. It almost felt like it was a bit of a testimonial to them to welcome them back into the side. I don't know. That was all I sort of looked for in the starting 11. Pascal Struijk wasn't in the matchday squad, I don't think, but hopefully it's not a case of 2 in and 2 out with Cooper hobbling off on the 15th minute with what looks like a bad injury, and then Calvin given time to try and run off his injury, but then a tunnel. Hopefully it's not 2 in, 2 out, Kieran.
Yeah, I think the Calvin one, obviously it's a little bit concerning he tried to play on but couldn't, but at the same time the fact that he felt he could maybe play on shows that unless in that little period that he played on he did further damage, it shouldn't be too bad. He walked down the tunnel, I'd say, relatively comfortably for someone who was injured. So, I mean, there might be a couple of weeks, but I hope it's no worse than that. And it certainly didn't show any signs of being worse than that. As for Cooper, looked a little bit more hobbly. But still, once again, the fact that he's on his feet, hopefully is a good sign that it's no more than just a couple of weeks. Because I mean, them two would be huge misses. I think Cooper's more replaceable because Stroud can just go straight in as your left-footed centre-back, especially if Foco's starting to play well. And then that Calvin, we don't have any real replacement for him. Maybe drop Adam Forshaw back and play Matthias Klick. But, I don't see that as a solution. I think Forshaw's doing so well as that link between Phillips and the attackers. So I don't want him back playing as deep as Phillips does. And, I still think Quicky will come good again, but he's out of form at the moment, so he doesn't fill you with confidence.
It's weird though that he got chosen over Rodrigo to come on as a substitute, and I think you can tell now that our what's the depth in the squad is getting back to where it should be when Rodrigo is not coming on, and you've got a £30 million striker who's left as an unused sub. You now know that the depth is coming back a bit. It was to be injured. To be honest, when Cooper went off injured, there was a reshuffle. I think all 10 other players on the pitch changed position. I think even Melier might have changed position himself. It seemed like there was such I don't claim to be a good footballing manager, so I can't really try and question Bielsa's tactics. But when Charlie Cresswell was sat on the bench and Liam Cooper went off injured, I did kind of think the obvious thing to be would substitute Charlie Cresswell on, but then he brought on Jack Harrison. He had Matthias Klick warmed up. Sorry, Clicky, I was only joking. Come on, and then moved. I think everyone about a position. I don't know. Am I overthinking that a bit too much?
Well, I was a bit confused myself, but I think even some of the players, when Jack Harrison came on, he didn't look like he knew where he was meant to go. But I mean, in time, obviously they got it. But yeah, it was a bit of a weird one for me when I saw Jack Harrison coming on. But obviously, I'm not going to question Bielsa because I'm not on Bielsa's quality. So I'll trust in what he does. But yeah, it was an odd one. I mean, I was really trying to think what we were trying to do. And yeah, I mean, it's just frustrating when you see, your Cooper and Phillips, they come off, and you're thinking the worst, and then, you think, okay, well, we need to replace probably Cooper, and then we bring Harrison on, and then you think it's just, you're thinking, oh God, it's going to be one of those days. But yeah, I mean, they got it in the end, the players, and I think the fans did. It was just a bit of a sort of head-aching moment. So yeah,
like Kieran said as well. The play you almost don't want to see walk down the tunnel is Calvin Phillips. He's the one that is the hardest to replace. And with the news of Pascal Struijk, I think he picked up a hip injury, and Adam Forshaw's, I think, started as a hip injury. And we know how that lasted, so hopefully a quicker recovery for Pascal Struijk than it is for Adam Forshaw. But a man who was celebrating his 100th appearance for Leeds United, I think it was, I don't think that's wrong, was Tyler Roberts, and he capped it off with a very, very well taken goal, Kieran.
Yeah, and a solid performance throughout. He's kind of needed the goal. He showed an improved performance against Crystal Palace, coming in to start down the middle, leading the line, and made a difference there. And then he's followed it up by not only just showing good touches, a good work rate, but showing a finishing touch as well. So it's hugely positive for Roberts. With Bamford coming back, you don't know how much it stakes his place for that number 9 spot. I think most Leeds fans would still feel more confident with Bamford in there than Roberts. But, we've seen him play the number 10 before behind Bamford, and maybe he's staking a place to keep that spot at the moment. When Jack Harrison came on, I think Dan James went more centrally, and I think there's a huge difference when you look at the Crystal Palace game, where Dan James almost came out of it with universal praise, everyone praising his work rate, and then going back into a central position against Brentford, and it feels like Dan James is getting pelters again. I just feel like he's so much better out wide. Roberts in a central area fills me with more confidence. I mean, even though Rodrigo hasn't performed too well for most of the season, he fills me with a lot more confidence in a central area. So yeah, Roberts is staking a claim for a stay in the team, even if it's not at the number 9.
I was going to say, like you said, his performance as well as the goal was actually very, very good. And I still, and again, this is another thing, I don't like criticising Bielsa, and I am not really. I don't claim to be as good a manager as him, although I put myself up there. I don't get the whole Dan James striker thing massively. And like you say, against Crystal Palace, he was so much better on the wing. I think there was that clip, wasn't there, where he sort of just harried 2 defenders, and he will run for days. And I think it was it Graham Smith from the Yorkshire Evening Post who said, like, the midfield will just run for days. I think I don't know if it was him, I might be wrong, that lined up against Brentford, because it was Dallas, James and Rafinha and Roberts, and that midfield is actually, well, you say James on the wing, it just seemed made a lot more sense. He had a much better game to move up front. The tables sort of turned a bit. Just a quick question, actually. We've been sort of comparing our managerial abilities to Bielsa. How well do you think you guys would have done if you were manager of that Brentford game instead of Bielsa? Say Bielsa just had to take the day off and we all got put in charge because we talk such fantastic footballing knowledge on this podcast. Do you reckon you'd have been able to get the boys G'd up, Adam?
I think I could have got them motivated, but whether I could have kept calm in the scenario of it, going to the closing moments is another question. I think it doesn't help that I'm a big Leeds fan, so I think I would have just been like one of the fans, just sort of, get the ball forwards, like screaming, at the pitch and at the players. But yeah, I mean, he keeps calm, Bielsa, and I think that's such a quality of his. I don't think I could probably possess that with being a fan and going through the emotions of it all. But I think I could have got them motivated. But yeah, as I said, not. I wouldn't have probably been able to keep calm in those situations. No.
It's the way. I think there was a video of him on the I think it's the dugout cam that they put on LUTV, and it was the Crystal Palace game, and it's when Rafinha takes a penalty. Obviously, all the fans behind him are in absolute pandemonium. All the players in the dugout are going ballistic. Even his coaching staff are celebrating, and he just does that thing where he puts his hands over his hips and sort of does the celebration, and just sort of trods along the touchline, watching all this sort of pandemonium just in front of him. I don't know how he keeps so calm. Kieran, do you think you'd be able to out-squat Bielsa? Because I'd actually like to put this to the test.
You know what? I don't think I could. Although I do, I keep myself active. I definitely couldn't out-squat Bielsa. He's just so conditioned to it now. I think I'd be burning up after about 5 minutes, maybe even less than that. So You know, sometimes I feel like you see him drop out of that position like 3 or 4 times across the full 90. Obviously, the camera's not always on him.
Yeah.
So no, I definitely don't think I could outsquat Bielsa.
Well, the thing is, surely this camera they use for the dugout cams that they put up onto YouTube and their social media, surely that camera's filming him for all of the match. I want to know what proportion of the match he's squatting for, and I want them to do like a big stat page, a big graphic like they do with all the other players, where it's like this player had 1 out of 1 completed pass, and I want to know like minutes per squat, or I want those details. I'm intrigued because every time I watch Leeds games with non-Leeds fans, they're like, "Oh, his legs must be strong," and I'm just sort of used to it. But he's like in his late 60s, I think. I just don't get how the man does it, and I don't get how he's such a good manager and rescued us to a good point. When we were 1-0 up against Brentford, I checked the table. I did that thing when Kieran said, like, you sort of just believe you're going to go on and win the game at 1-0. I checked the table. We were 11th. I was thinking, can I book the flights for the Champions League final? And then obviously went 2-1 down and 2-2. And I actually don't know whereabouts in the table we are, but we're sort of in and around with your Palaces, your Brentfords themselves, the Southamptons. Adam, we're going into a tough run of games. Are you happy with where we are in the table at the moment?
Absolutely, yeah. I think we would have taken it before the Palace game. So yeah, I'm happy. Obviously, it's difficult with the fixtures coming up, and other sides might have maybe no disrespect to them, but maybe an easier schedule. But yeah, I'm happy. But I think overall we just have to and go, we're in the position that we're in, but we've got players coming back, and we've got 2 good results, I think, in the circumstances against 2 good opposition sides. So yeah, I'm happy, and I think most people would be happy as well. So yeah.
Kieran, are you content with where we're sitting in the points tally as we enter the festive run of games?
Yeah, I think you asked me before the Brighton game, what's the minimum I'd have taken from those 3 games. And at first I said 6 points, but then I said 5 points, a win and 2 draws. Revised it a little bit, and it is, that turned out to be the situation, a win and 2 draws. So I would have taken it before the 3 games. The table, like I say, does look a little bit brighter, not needing to look over his shoulders quite as much. But with such a tough run of fixtures coming up, it still stings a little bit that we've gone from such a comfortable first half into a disaster 10-15 minutes before dominating the rest of the second half against a side that was just trying to see the game out. Like it does feel like a missed opportunity for 3 points, and those extra 2 points on the board would have made the table look even better.
You are sort of channeling your inner Bielsa there. I think he said in the press conference that the sort of last minute goal does make it look a lot better, but actually the result wouldn't have been that good at 2-1. And if we hadn't scored that last minute goal, we may have been coming on here and moaning more. You do actually go back to your predictions. I think you did say you would settle with 5. I think I just went for 9. I think I was just in a bad state of just in desperation for a win, and obviously didn't really pay off. But we were unbeaten, and we haven't actually lost that many games this season. I think we've lost 5, which is the same as I think like Spurs and some other teams who are higher up the table. It's just converting those draws into wins. Now, we'll have a look to the Chelsea game in a bit. This is the run of the season that I think a lot of fans are scared of, especially with the position that we're in compared to last season. But I want to try and turn it on a positive spin, because for me, this is why we're in the Premier League, to put ourselves up against the big boys. And Adam, for you, even though there might be a bit of nervousness with the quality of teams that we're facing, is there that sense of excitement that we can replicate what Dallas did at the Etihad last season, but with fans?
Yeah, I mean, I think, so yeah, with the fans back, it's going to be fantastic. But I mean, in a sense, you've got to play them at some point. So yeah, we'll do it now. So I think with the way Leeds play, though, it's sort of a never sort of give up mentality, and maybe this will suit the bigger opposition, like with your Chelseas, your Liverpools, and that. So I think it's not all negative, and for me, that this is we've got to enjoy, and obviously we are going to have Leeds fans in the ground, and that really is a huge help home and away. So yeah, I mean, obviously it's sort of a frightening next few games, but we have to sort of keep the positives and remember that we are Leeds United. We do have a fantastic manager, a great set of players who can these games. I mean, you look at as you said, Johnny, the Man City game where Dallas scored in final moments. We managed that so well. So why can't we do it again? This season against other teams. So yeah, it's positive, and we just have to keep that positivity going. And yeah, with fans back, it's going to be massive.
Well, let's have a look to that Chelsea game then. Chelsea away from home at Stamford Bridge. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff as well on a Saturday, which I'm not entirely sure how the TV broadcasters have got away with not one of them wanting that game. Well, they probably wanted it, but they had to balance other teams out. But it's a 3 o'clock on a Saturday for the first time in a while for Leeds. Kieran, how are we feeling, honestly, going into this game? Talk to me about your feelings of going to Stamford Bridge.
It feels like a bit of a free hit, just because we managed to get some points on the board. We're going up against, a side that a lot of people started to tip to win the league. They'd looked phenomenal recently. Like they didn't look like dropping any major points anytime soon, and then West Ham go and do them 3-2. So maybe their confidence is knocked a little bit. Maybe they're feeling a bit less unbeatable. It had been a long time since the last loss. I think it was it Man City managed to scrape a 1-0 win against them earlier in the season. Yeah. That now we're looking a bit less unbeatable. We've got the quality in this team to take results off Chelsea on this day. And if we just find what we did towards the end of last season when we started to take a lot of points off teams towards the top of the table, then we've got a good chance to get something out of this game. And I feel like we had that period last season where we had a little bit of a lull in form, and then all of a sudden we found it again. So why can't we all of a sudden find it again in this game?
Exactly. That's the positivity we needed. That's the positivity we need on this podcast. And like Kieran said there, Adam, West Ham beat Chelsea. Chelsea going to this game a loss. And I can't remember whether it was the game before that or not, but they have drawn to Burnley in the season not too long ago as well. So is it a positive that we're going into this game after they've lost? Or is it a case of, they're just going to be wanting to put sort of 4, 5, 6 past us now to sort of shake off last week's result?
Well, I think it's certainly a good time to play them. I'd rather play them now after a loss than maybe quite a few wins, because they'll probably just be buzzing immensely. So this might be a good time. They're probably going to have to. Fans will be really frustrated because they played really well in the first half. So yeah, I mean, perfect time for me. We've got to take the game to them and not back off them, because they did look really fragile especially when the pressure was on. They didn't look comfortable. They didn't like it, and obviously we know Leeds are quite relentless with pressing and stuff. So I think this is a perfect time, and yeah, why can't we get something?
Well, this is the thing. It is a massive game, not just because Chelsea are a big team, but Chelsea and Leeds have a fierce rivalry, obviously, ourselves. And last season, I think we drew 0-0 at Ellen Road, but in terms of the Stamford Bridge leg, Bamford gave us the lead with anything. It was a great ball outside the football pass from Calvin Phillips into Bamford, slotted it around the keeper, and then Werner missed sitter of the season, and then they went on and won 3-1. Hopefully it's not this sort of similar result this time out, but Kieran, how do you see this game going?
I see I think that the tactic from Leeds United is pretty much as Adam said, just go and get at them, put them under some pressure because they've spent so much of the season kind of dictating the play themselves, so comfortable in the game that they haven't had to deal with teams just coming at them with wave of attack very often. And when West Ham started to throw attack after attack at them, they started to buckle a little bit. So we know that we've got the capability to do that because we have played like that against teams before. We've looked maybe a bit less dangerous in those attacks this season, but we have still had games like that where we've just launched attack after attack, and we've got some real quality as well, especially with Rafinha. He's got the capability to just do damage to any team in this division. If Bamford comes back in to start, that's a huge boost as well. He'll be really up for it against Chelsea. You know, it's his former club. He came through the academy there, I believe, or he was nicked late on from someone else's academy and finished his development there. But then they didn't rate him. He didn't make the grade, and he got shipped out to the Championship. He's worked his way back up to the Premier League, and he'll be keen to prove a point again, like he was keen to prove a point last season when he opened the scoring. So it's a difficult game, but I don't think we're out of it.
Well, let's see if you put the money where your mouth is in the predictions. Then let's get some predictions for this game against Chelsea. It'd be interesting to see where you go with this one. Actually, usually we like to predict positive, a bit of realism in there as well.
Yeah,
sorry, Kieran.
Yeah, I'll go a 2-2 draw. That's just me trying to remain a little bit positive, but being aware that Chelsea are still very much the favourites.
I think I was feeling the same as you. The whole draw thing, sort of just so you're not biasing one team and not predicting a loss. I'm gonna go 0-0. Adam, what are you thinking?
I'm gonna go 2-1 Leeds.
Yes, there it is. There's the win. There's the win. We'll see if we can pull it off. I mean, I hate those sort of comments. I was going to say, like, I'd love it if we could go there and win. Well, obviously, I support Leeds and I want us to win. We did this a couple of podcasts ago where we predicted or said how many points we think we would get from the next couple of games. And obviously, it's the big run. I think it's only fair that we do it with these next 4 games. 3 of them away from home as well, which I don't think helps too much. Chelsea away, City away, Arsenal at home, and Liverpool away on Boxing Day. Adam, how many points out of those 4 games do you think we will be getting?
I'll be happy with, I'd say, 6 or 9, but yeah, I mean 6 or above. I think that's what I would like. So yeah, that's just me. I mean, I know it's quite high expectations, but yeah, I'm in a positive zone at the moment, so I'm going to go with 6 or above.
I was going to say, you must be in a fantastically positive mood. I mean, as soon as I think 6, I sort of it. As soon as the word 9 left your mouth, I see both me and Kieran just sort of light up and go, 9, 3 wins when we've only won 3 games all season. I honestly, I wouldn't put it past us just because of what happened in April last season. Kieran, will you be matching those levels of positivity? Will you go for 12? Who knows?
The thing is, I thought I was going to be really positive when I had the sneaky suspicion. I have a suspicion that we are going to win at least one of these games.
Yeah, no,
so I'm going to give us a win and a draw and say 4 points, which 4 points from that run of games I don't think is bad at all.
I was going to say I don't think that's bad. I don't want to be boring, but I'm going to match with you and go 4. I think Arsenal at home is very winnable. Very winnable. And I think if we get a positive result, I've seen a lot of people on Twitter saying that they think that City away is the one that we might, say, nick a point at and then lose the other 3. But if we can just get a positive result from that City game, then the atmosphere of that Arsenal game would be fantastic. And it's obviously one of the games that we're looking forward to hosting at Ellen Road. And I think 3 points could be collected there. I'm almost resigned to the fact Liverpool away might be a defeat, just because they always seem to turn up at Anfield and perform well. But who knows? Who knows? And that's the beauty of football. We don't know. We don't know. And I don't actually also know what time the FA Cup draw is taking place tonight, as I scrummage through my phone to try and find out. But I don't think it's been drawn yet. So I want to get your predictions, first of all, for who you think will be getting drawn in the FA Cup third round. Adam, who do you think we're going to
get? I would like maybe Leeds against Kidderminster. There you go. That's what I wouldn't mind it away or at Ellen Road. Probably away. I think it's always quite exciting to go to sort of new grounds, and yeah, I think that would be my pick.
I like that. Kieran, who would you like us to get?
Well, I was thinking maybe Kidderminster, because they knocked Halifax out, so it'd be like, just such a shame that we didn't get that West Yorkshire derby that hasn't been played competitively in a long time against Halifax. But to mix it up a bit, I'll say Morecambe, just because I've got a friend that supports Morecambe, which that'd be a dreaded fixture for me with our record against lower league teams in the FA Cup, because I wouldn't hear the end of it if Morecambe beat us.
I know. I was going to say same reasons as you. I've got a mate who's a Charlton fan. I think that'd be nice to go to the Valley, or even have them Ellen Road. Thing is, with this competition, I don't know how you guys feel. Obviously, when we're in the Championship, when we ultimately get drawn Arsenal away in about half an hour's time, but you look for those games against Manchester United, City, Liverpool, because we don't play them throughout the season. We're playing other Championship sides, but now it's a case of, okay, give us a lower league side that's not Crawley again, and they don't have Mark Wright, and we might be able to give this competition a bit of a go. Adam, do you think we can actually go far in this competition? Should we be trying to go on a cup run?
I think it's always good to have a cup run. I mean, I think we had a nice little cup run in the Carabao Cup, so that was always quite nice, to be honest. And I think it's great for other players to come forward and sort of have a go. So I'm all in favour for a cup run, because you could best players use different players, and I think that's what Leeds need. I mean, obviously, if we get knocked out, we get knocked out, but I think it's just great to have a cup run and to dream of maybe going to Wembley. So that would be reason, but hopefully a cup run for me.
Hopefully. Kieran, do you think Bielsa will be taking this competition as seriously as he has done other years? I don't think he prioritises it ahead of the league. I don't think anyone should be doing, but I think he sees it a lot lower down. How do you think he's feeling about the FA Cup this year?
Yeah, he's always kind of used it as an opportunity to rest players, to maybe give first team minutes to some players that are knocking on the door. So I'd expect him to continue. He went a bit different in the Carabao Cup this season.
Yeah.
He played a full strength team, or a close to full strength team against who was it again? Crew Alexandra, Luke Murphy.
Yeah.
And then played kind of a semi-rotated team going forward after that. So maybe we'll see that again, but I'd expect some rotation, whoever we get in that third round. But I'd absolutely love a cup run. I do love the FA Cup.
No, I do as well. I do. Much prefer it over the Carabao. And like you say, actually, with the lineups that he put out against Luke Murphy's Crew Alexandra, it was a strong lineup. But then I feel like in the games against Fulham and Arsenal, because of the injuries that we had, he wasn't able to show whether he would be playing the strongest players like Patrick Bamford or Luke Ayling or other players. I think Firpo was injured as well in some stages of the season. So it will be interesting to see what sort of lineup he does put out. I do know what Adam means. I think I'd like an away game at a lower league side, but we know how that works with Leeds in the FA Cup, and that does not go down well at all if previous results are anything to go by. So look, we've said we want the lower league sides. Obviously, Manchester United away or at home will be a big game anyway. I know we're going to end up with Wolves away, Blackburn at home, just a tie that I think mid-table Premier League, a Palace or a Wolves, I just be so frustrated. It'd be quite nice to test ourselves against the Championship sides again this year. Drop down a league in a sense, and remember what it was like to play in the Championship. But yeah, I just know Premier League table side away, and it's going to be one of those where you hype yourself up for the draw, and 5 minutes later you're like, that wasn't worth waiting for them to faff about and just pick the balls out of the bucket. But that will wrap it up for this week's episode of the Bremner Square Podcast. Make sure to tune into the FA Cup draw if it hasn't happened already. Like I say, I don't think it has. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. Thank you very much to Adam and Kieran for coming on as always, and we will see you next week looking ahead to more big games for Leeds United. Stay safe.